What's up, guys? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of our videos. Also, make sure you follow us all over social media so you don't miss any of our content or show announcements. And I want to spend a little bit of time on the Clippers. I have a lot of respect for this Nuggets team, especially for Nikola Jokic, who I think is the greatest offensive player to ever touch an NBA court. And I do think they have a solid puncher's chance to beat OKC, as we will discuss in a few minutes. But this Nuggets team is not at the level of OKC, Boston, and Cleveland in terms of two-way talent. And the Clippers got blown out in a single elimination game against them. What that means is that you're not close. I think self-awareness is important in the trajectory of an NBA franchise. You have to be aware of the fact that you're not close, willing to admit it. Specifically, your stars aren't good enough. I believe in James Harden as a regular season offensive engine, and I think there's a lot of value there. His ability to just create advantages in the low intensity of the regular season will set your bar so high in terms of like the types of advantages your role players are getting. You're going to get a certain level of offense out of James Harden. But in the playoffs, time and time again, as it gets more intense later in the series, he just can't get his game off. 11 points in game 5. 7 points in game 7. This was something we all knew was part of James Harden and what his, trajectory looked like over the course of seasons. This is not the new information. This is the latest bit of solidifying information. Kawhi Leonard is capable of reaching his peak for a game, but he did not have any type of sustained success in this series. And it's the most healthy he's looked in years. So it's time to acknowledge that Harden and Kawhi are not good enough anymore to get you where you want to go. Which means it's time to at least start looking towards the future if you're the Clippers. I like a lot of things about the Clippers organization. I think Ty Lue is one of the 5 best coaches in the NBA. I think Lawrence Frank knows what he's doing in the front office. I thought his pivot from Paul George to Derek Jones and Chris Dunn was one of the smarter front office moves I've seen in the league in the last few years. An understanding of the diminishing returns of a tertiary star, an understanding of the value of perimeter athleticism and the ability to contain the ball in the modern NBA. I think got a ton of value out of those guys over the course of this season. Everyone is pretty much under contract next year, depending on what Harden does with his player option. I would assume he's going to take it, but we'll see. Maybe he ends up re-upping on some sort of discounted deal. But you're super flexible outside of that. At the year after next, a bunch of that money comes off and you're pretty much wide open. You're starting to see some of the light at the end of the tunnel of the damage that was done from the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander trade. You have some draft picks on the horizon. But it's time to switch the focus of the front office towards finding the next generation of Clipper perimeter stars. I think Zoo obviously still has some good basketball left to build around, but it's time to start looking for who the next guys are that are going to generate offense for this team. That means you might have to be willing to take on draft pick laden offers for quality role players that you have under contract. You might have to be willing to take the hit of losing a quality role player like a Derek Jones, like a Chris Dunn, like a Nick Batum, right? You might have to be willing to potentially even flip a star if the right type of offer comes around. But ultimately, you have to start thinking about getting as many cracks at the draft as possible over the course of the next couple years. That also means your scouting department has to shift gears towards looking for upside rather than looking for immediate contribution. You're in the market. I talked about this last night with Detroit. Detroit is in the opposite boat. They don't need to be drafting upside. They need to be drafting NBA-ready role player talent. The Clippers need to be shifting gears towards looking entirely for upside. The arena is awesome. I thought that was a resounding success. You have a bright future, but it's time to start building towards that future if you're the Clippers.